Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kipik family. Welcome, Yusuf. Today we have a very special podcast session with the one and only Mr. ضاري الغربللي. Our podcast session is going to be about managing teams and lessons in leadership.
حياك الله نورة. Welcome to my office.
It's beautiful.
I'm always delighted to share what I've learned throughout my journey with professional young leaders like yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited for this podcast because I want to learn so much from you, and because I'm excited to hear about your experience when it comes to management, and you're in the perfect position. How about we start with an introduction about yourself?
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is ضاري الغربللي. Currently I'm manager health, safety and environment. I started my journey, let's talk about college first, back then. I got accepted into a scholarship to study atmospheric sciences. And at that time, atmospheric sciences was a new field that people didn't really know much about. Not only that, when I asked about what are my chances for employment, they were a bit limited. So throughout my career and throughout my studies, I thought about how can I enhance my chances of getting more job opportunities. Therefore, I decided to get a double major in atmospheric sciences and environmental sciences. And alhamdulillah, I worked very hard to get those double degrees, and I graduated at the same time as if I had one major, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
That really gave me more chances to get into more fields. Therefore, when I came back to Kuwait Oil Company was offering that opportunity. So when I came, I joined Kuwait Oil Company as an environmental engineer. Back in 1997, there were not many environmental engineers in the K companies. And I had to really learn a lot about the oil sector, the upstream back then in Kuwait Oil Company, oil sector, what was involved in the environmental aspects of all the KOC line of work. So it was a very, let's say, the very first day I joined the company, I was told a statement. I was told that, do you prefer routine work or do you prefer not expected work?
Yeah.
And my reply to that was, I don't like routine work. I mean, for me, with time, routine becomes something a bit boring that has not much added value. However, if every day you come to work, not expecting what to expect, and then there you will have the chance to really use your own ability, use your character, use what you've learned throughout your life in trying to fix whatever problem that comes. Alhamdulillah, my career has been nothing close to being routine. I was always sort of putting myself and being put in positions that were challenging and really required a unique set of skills. Not just myself, the team around me, to get the job done. So I worked my career in Kuwait Oil Company as an environmental engineer. I went the same field, but in planning. So I spent about a couple of years doing planning for the group. Which gave me another insight about the organization. How does the finance business work? What do I need to do in regard to our budgets and manpower recruitment and manpower allocation?
I can relate a bit coming from planning also background,
Yes, so that gave me a different perspective to the organization. And then I came back as a senior environment engineer. And then I had a lot more insight really about my own job. In 2007, I became a team leader in Kuwait Oil Company for health and environment. And then I had to learn about a new business, which was the health part, which was basically the industrial hygiene of what was the health impact of the business on the employee at work. Then we built sort of a link between Ahmadi Hospital and the employee. So we identified what risk had on each job and tried to relate that to the annual examination and all that. Let's say throughout my career as an environment, you look at three aspects: the air, water, and land.
Right.
Okay, and what impact does the organization have on those three? Most of the work was done on the, let's say, emissions, because that's what people see.
Yeah.
What emissions is the organization, is the company emitting? And then we did a lot of work in going from smoke flare to smokeless flares, which had a big impact on the reduction of emissions, plus the, let's say, people cannot see the pollution anymore. Then we worked a lot on the water, let's say, contamination in the company itself with water injection projects and such. The land part took a lot of my time, because there we worked on the, as you know, after the 1990 invasion, more than 700 oil wells were put on fire.
Right.
After the fire, after they put out the fires, we had a lot of oil lakes, which contaminated a huge part of Kuwait. Part of the compensation from the United Nations was assigned to Kuwait Oil Company to remediate these soils. So we had a lot of work to do with the United Nations.
It was very challenging.
Very challenging,
Yes.
where we had to learn their language, because every entity speaks a different language.
Correct, yeah.
So we had to convince the United Nations that Kuwait Oil Company has plans in place to take care of all these oil lakes. We had to convince them of these plans. We had to use approved methods and plans that are reasonable with a timeline and budget.
Yeah.
So we had to do a lot of negotiation, where in 2010, alhamdulillah, the approval was there and the full amount of funds was transferred to Kuwait. Then in 2012, I moved to a new group in KOC called Soil Remediation Group. And then we had to really establish the full setup of a new group, where it was just myself and a manager back then.
Okay.
We had to find the manpower, we had to put we had the PMC with us, and we had to set the projects. And that time was, let's say, very valuable to me, because my work was related to something that the whole country would benefit from.
Of course, yes.
So basically, we had a responsibility of bringing back Kuwait to what it used to be pre-invasion.
Right. Which is a whole challenging task on its own.
Yes.
Talk about, the unexpected.
Yes,
Yes.
Exactly. When you talk about non-routine.
Right.
So in your line of work, you will not always have a manual.
Correct.
To how things are done. Okay, you have to rely on what you know, and you have to make the right assumptions in order to move forward. Yet be flexible to be allowed to sort of make adjustments as you go. Alhamdulillah, towards the end of my work in KOC by 2017, alhamdulillah, the team has established many contracts in place, and we have achieved many positive things for KOC and for Kuwait as well. So because we linked the areas of contamination with KOC's priorities, where does KOC wants to do the exploration for the oil.
That's all before even going to Kipik, which is
before
you touched base basically on everything related to health, safety, environment, and even fire when it comes to that.
Even fire,
yes.
even
contracts.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely, contract management, contract preparation. As I said, we were not major projects yet. I had the PMC. I was superintendent of a PMC. So we had to really learn all the aspects of work, and it was easy for me to say, no, I don't know this. How can I go forward with this field? It was very easy for me, and then I would have limited myself. Yet I learned, and
you took that chance of the unknown
to
be able to know more, and that is such a great lesson, because I face this every day.
How so?
And almost the smallest things, to be honest with you. And to hear about that experience, you brought all of this to Kipik, and now you're here today. That's what I want to hear about it today. Basically, I face difficulties when it comes to, like, right now, just the commissioning of our refinery. You face decisions every single day, and you have to make that. And, you know, as a planning also background, you're left with, I need to make the right decision, but is it really right? Is it really wrong? And then someone told me that just take a decision. If it's wrong, you can fix it later. So let's hear more about that. How can you make sure that you make the right decision when it comes to, like what you've just mentioned, leadership in these positions comes very important in order to move forward?
Sure. I think there are two things that are separate. Okay, there is work, which comes in every day, which is a commissioning or a refinery or starting up a refinery or doing a contract.
Yes.
And there is teamwork, which is the team that are established around you.
Yeah.
I think teamwork is something that is very important, and this is the real doer that helps to achieve any task that comes in. You know, if you have the right team, then you are ready to do anything. Right team comes in several things. The right team means the right skill set, the right mindset,
yes.
and the right attitude, the right motivation, the right knowledge. Yeah,
Yes.
that is easier said than done.
Exactly. I was just going to say.
Okay, because you cannot find the perfect team to start, but you have to be able to build the right environment for that team to grow.
How to do that? That's the question.
Absolutely. See, in my mind, okay, I devote most of my time in team building.
Wow.
Rather than work
Getting done.
Getting done.
Right.
Because work will get done. Either way, work will get done. But what are you doing to get this work done? You can take the task and do it and go to the next one, or you can take each task as a learning experience to help your team grow.
Right.
It all depends on how you approach this task. Okay, so if you have a team and you look at each and every individual of that team and identify the strengths and weaknesses in each player. Okay, not all people come with the same set of skills.
That's the thing. Yes.
Okay? Not only that, not all people are motivated the same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Noura, how many years have you been in the company?
This is my 5th year now.
MashaAllah, 5th year. I remember your first
You remember my first year? Yes.
I
still find it challenging to find how to exert motivation into the team in order to move forward. Because, like you said, not everybody's the same. People have different skills and strengths and weaknesses. So, how to do that?
The way I do it.
Yes, that's what we want to hear about.
I have a belief that everybody I meet does not know their own potential.
I should write that down.
Okay. Because that starts with myself. I always underestimate my own abilities, and whenever I put a certain target, I achieve it and more. Okay, but so I know that everybody don't really know how good they are and what are they really able to achieve. Okay, so from that premise, if you keep that in your mind, that says to you that there is always room to grow. In different areas, such as, for example, in planning for a situation. When someone comes to you and says, we have this obstacle, I have the answer, for example, and I can tell them just do A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Normally, that gets the job done. But I don't do that.
You wait for them to find out.
I don't do that. I say, how do you think the way should be? What do you suggest we do? And first of all,
I'm sure everybody will have like a different answer, though.
Sure, but when they first come to work with me, they think maybe that I'm just saying that to be nice.
Yeah.
Or just to
allow them to like
speak,
engage.
but then implement whatever I have in my mind.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
But no, I really follow through.
Wow.
Go ahead, do that.
That's very hard to do though at this position.
It's learning.
Wow.
It's learning. I've had two of my engineers that I'm very proud to work with everybody, صراحة. Two of them, after spending 2 weeks in the company, I allowed them to give a presentation to our previous CEO, Mr. Hashim.
MashaAllah.
After 2 weeks in the company.
That's a great opportunity.
They did the presentation and said, Yusuf, this is the presentation. I said, okay, you're going to present it. And they were shocked. But what did that do to them? That gave them responsibility.
Yes.
So they went back and they did more homework to make sure that whatever they will present is to the point.
Top, yes.
Is to
top
the point.
Level, yeah.
And management will understand. You know, they took what they want from that presentation, but that lesson stayed with them for their entire career. So building the right team, because it's a continuous process, because everything around you is changing. Your circumstances is changing.
Yes.
The refinery is changing.
The people are changing.
The people are changing. You are changing.
Yes.
Right? So you have to accommodate of the changes, you have to understand the changes, and you have to deal with them accordingly in order to achieve the right achievements that you want. So that's back to your question. How do you go about the task? I think having the right team will allow you to do any task, whether it is something that you know or something that you are completely in the dark, you don't know anything about. And I like those challenges that you just discover what are the options, what to do, and then get that done.
Yeah, and you get that. It's like a two-way learning process.
Sure.
That is such an amazing advice that nobody really knows their capabilities until you find that. And I think it takes a really good leader to be able to show these values. And I mean, I know I had the experience of having an amazing leader. So I know how that level of responsibility, when it's given to me, I need to make sure that I'm ready, that I can actually take on this task and I can give it to a higher position, not just to internally within my team. And I believe that trust that is given to people will definitely allow them to prosper.
Sure.
So that is such an amazing advice that I will take to heart. You mentioned about good teams and having a good team. Now I'm going to be a little bit negative, let's say, so that we take best of both worlds. If you have a good team, you can do anything. What if you have not such a good team? Let's say, you have the right qualities. Like you said, people have different skills. Sometimes you come across people who are a little bit stubborn, let's say, who are like my way or the highway.
Sure.
And sometimes their way is right, but sometimes their way is not really right.
Sure.
So how can you get them on board without making them feel like, no, I totally reject your idea, but we'll do our way or whatever the team is convinced with?
I call those people مثل البهارات. They make work fun and meaningful.
Okay. They give flavor, you mean?
Absolutely. They give flavor. They give.
That's a positive way to look at it.
They give the shock.
Okay.
To really think about your way, what you are doing. Is this right or wrong? If I was surrounded by people who would tend to agree, like-minded people, if I was surrounded by like-minded people who are always thinking the same way, we are missing so much on the other side.
Correct.
So I need those people in my team. Not only that, I encourage them to be that person.
Okay.
Be that person who always gives us the other side.
Okay.
Because he's an expert on looking at the other side.
It's true.
So I help them grow in that. Because I always look at them, and when they agree, I know that we are proceeding the right way. So a team is comprised of all colors, right? Is comprised of people who are supporting and people who are not supporting, and that I think make the dynamic of the whole team move forward. Now you mentioned sometimes it goes beyond that. Okay,
yes.
And there I think people sometimes get affected by what they hear. For new engineers coming to the organization, sometimes they hear the wrong advice, such as
And that can have a huge impact.
Absolutely.
I've been through
Absolutely. Such as, for example, don't put any effort. It doesn't matter at the end. Your evaluation is set from now. If you work, then they will give you more work and you will be tired.
It's true. That's a reality. I've heard that a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You do. I heard that myself when I first joined. But if an organization does not capture the new engineers at those first 3 critical years of their career, I think they set them away.
Yeah.
No, if you instill certain things in the new coming engineers, the first couple of years in their career, and show them that your work does matter, you do matter, you really do matter. Okay, the fate of the refinery depends on your work and how hard you work. Huh? Then you will create a positive, motivated, hardworking teams, whether they work here or elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay? So I make it a fact, and I make it a something that I have to do. That maybe you've heard of this. Maybe I meet weekly with all the engineers. Okay, and we have a weekly meeting that normally lasts an hour and a half. We talk rarely about work. We talk about different things. And there, I just want to give them that sense of belonging to the organization, because that makes a big difference.
Right.
And from these meetings, we got to know each other, and they got to know different aspects of the work. And from our discussions in those meetings, we have suggested to management many programs that are here today. Reverse mentoring came from those meetings, okay, and others as well. I think realizing that people sometimes hear the wrong advice, you show them that no, your work does matter.
And I think it takes, like I said, a very inspiring leader or a manager to say that, because I also went through it when I first got employed. If I weren't lucky to have such an amazing manager, such an amazing team leaders, because I had like 2 team leaders.
Yes.
So if I didn't have that support, and if I let those thoughts like get into my head, I probably would have been, not as motivated as I am today. So having that much support is really important. So I want to thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I mean, what is a manager's job? Tell me, what is a manager's job?
Other than getting things done, you have to inspire your team to work together and to also provide support whenever needed.
Sure.
That is my idea of it.
I would just add to that, we have a responsibility to build a positive society.
Yeah.
If you build a positive employee at work, that employee will be positive in their community as well.
That's such a good way to look at it. Yeah.
So when you think of your job having an impact on the society as a whole, then you will look at it very seriously.
In a big way.
Because people look at every reaction that I do, for example. They
look up to you.
Exactly. So that really matters. So I'm very careful in not just getting things done, but building people to get things done.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
And that's
building people, not just building tasks and getting them done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Tasks are done every day.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay. Now that you've mentioned tasks, let's talk a little bit about something that I always hear about, and I'm always told by my superiors, my team leader, my manager, the art of delegation. It's powerful, it's important, and we always have to do it. But sometimes you find it challenging. It's not just giving a task to someone. Sometimes it takes more skills to it and more dedication and patience. Can you give us advice on how to do proper delegation and follow-up?
Sure. Delegation has a simple meaning and a meaning, a depth meaning.
Yeah.
The simple meaning of delegation, which sometimes is incorrectly referred to, which is forwarding all tasks to someone.
Yeah.
It's not just a simple forward. When you delegate, you have to make sure that the person is capable,
Okay.
the person has the right resources, the person understands the task.
Yeah.
Because you will be amazed by the number of lack of achieving due to lack of communication. Okay, I take it to myself that if an employee did not understand the task that I delegated, then it's my fault. I did not communicate properly.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So, as a manager, being a good communicator is top of the list of their job. You really know how to communicate. Communication is not just verbal. It is not non-verbal. It is by email. By the way, communication by email is very tricky because sometimes people think that it carries the emotions and it doesn't. It just carries the word.
Yeah.
So you put certain emotions and you send it, and then the receiver reads it with their own impression of you.
That's so true. That is so true.
So my advice, before reacting to an email...
I think that depends on the person, though.
Yeah.
But finish that sentence. Before
reacting to any email, pick up the phone.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that.
Before sending the email, if you think that it might
be interrupted
differently,
the wrong way.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And I think so. With delegation, has to have clear communication of the task.
Right.
So delegation is very important because it allows you to do the things that you want to do. As a manager, I will never be able to do all the tasks.
Of course.
And the person who says that, I think they need to re-examine their statement because you have so much to do. Not just work, but the team that you're trying to build. And having people engaged in so many different areas, doing so many different things, needs delegation after delegation. So there are different steps,
stages,
layers
also,
of delegation. You know, with delegation comes follow-up. You
this
have
is the
to
tricky
know
part.
exactly.
Has to be a frequent and.
Well, the art is how to get what you want to achieve without really going to the details of what happened.
Okay, how to do that?
Okay, you look at the end. You look at the result.
And it has to be communicated clearly from the beginning.
For example, you want to drive from home to Zor.
Yes.
Your target is Zor, right? Sometimes you want to take route 30. Sometimes you want to take route 40.
Right.
To me, take any route you want.
As long as you get to the destination.
He come to Zor,
yeah.
you know. So when you say, for example, I give you a task, you have 2 hours to come from home to Zor, okay? And I ask you, how far are you from Zor?
Okay.
So you
have to look at it. Okay.
When I ask you this way, you reorient your thought and you look at the target again. Maybe you're off somewhere else and say, oh no, that's not leading me to Zor. I have to look and move my direction.
Yeah.
You know, so the question needs to remind the person of the goal. So that eases my part of questioning the whole process. أي دوار واصلة أي شارع. It's irrelevant.
Yes.
You know the road.
Yeah.
To me, are you close enough or not from the target?
I think I'll always be reminded of this example, honestly. Because the way you look at it is, no, I don't want to know the details. I just want to know how far you reached.
Yes.
And how far do you have to go to finish it? Yes.
And do you have any issues?
Of course.
عرفتي؟
Yes.
They have to feel in they're safe.
And support.
The word safe is not easy. It comes with trust. And trust is not easy. It comes with experience. عرفتي؟ it's مثل ما قلنا من البداية, you create that safe working environment.
Yes.
That allows for trust. That allows for a safe environment for them to ask questions. And to say, I don't know. Or to say, I've made a mistake. Because guess what? A mistake is easier to fix when it first happens. When people cover it up, in a few days, in a few weeks, it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult to fix. Yeah. So there are so many benefits of creating that safe environment that people are themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's the best version of yourself when you are yourself. Yani your performance is at its best.
I actually wanted to ask about that. So I'm really happy that you talked about it already. You've read my mind. I was going to talk about how Basically, how confident would an employee come in to say that I made a mistake?
Sure.
So, like you said, the answer is basically safety. If you
Sure.
feel like that you're supported, which is amazing. I feel lucky to be working in a maintenance environment, which is a very hectic environment.
Sure.
And to have that safety, please come with the mistake and we can fix it. So, yeah, thank you for your take on that one. I think I will go to one of our very important, let's say, experiences. As you know, like I said, it's a dynamic workplace. Sometimes, and this is one of the lessons in management, we get frequent changes in like leadership, from engineer to acting senior, or senior to acting team leader. And I know I've had a bit of a chance to be an acting senior for a little bit, and that is so demanding. And to have that shift suddenly, and you're used to your own roles, and then you have to take on more roles in addition to your roles. And it's not a management position per se, because you still have to go into the details as an engineer. So I'm sure you went through that, and I'm sure you've had your own take on it. Sure. Would you like to share that with us?
Sure. Being in an acting position, like what you said, it's not just doing that role, doing your own role.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing other people's role who you're being responsible for. So my advice is take that opportunity as a test drive. Okay, you're test driving yourself in that position. The most important thing to say is that having a bigger role automatically means having more responsibilities.
Yes.
Okay, having more authority on how things are done. Okay, but also look at it as having more authority to make a safer environment, to make it a friendlier environment.
Okay.
Okay, because when you have that authority, you can do anything you want.
Correct.
Why do it the way that
An authorized person would do it.
why not do it your way?
Yeah.
Give yourself a chance to do it the way you want, and to create the environment that you'd like to be. Okay, so I think being acting is a very, let's say, good way, and to gain the lessons, to test yourself in that position. It's very important not to forget that there is always people to help out, and the best way to go about it is to involve everybody in the process.
Yeah.
To make everybody feel that I'm here to help everybody do their job, and we will all move forward.
Move it together.
Absolutely, because if everybody crosses that finish line together, then that is the main objective.
Correct. Yeah. I will try that for sure. The next time I get the opportunity, I'll definitely try that. We'd like to, before we end, how about we share one very important feature for both, for a young person who's just in the workplace, how to manage basically teams, because sometimes you have to have a small team on your role, like 2-3 people. It can be 2-3 people, or it can be as a manager position, 20 or more. What is the most important, in addition to everything that you've said, obviously, but what is the most important skill to have in order to be a successful team member, let's say, not just a manager, but a team member for young employees?
I like this question, and I would like to add to the question.
Sure.
Is that you start managing when you start managing yourself. So you can have a team of 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a team of 2, and then larger, and then a group, and then a CEO managing a whole company.
Yeah.
Right? So if you succeed managing 1, most likely you will succeed managing a whole company.
Wow. So would you say being a good follower is the first thing?
I would say discipline is the first thing.
Okay.
Okay, being disciplined, being able to allocate time and follow that schedule.
Yeah.
Being able to get to know your team members on a human level. You might say, of course they're human. Yes, they're human, but sometimes we forget to look at others as being human, because if I engage with my fellow employees as human, as friendly, that breaks so many barriers. And that breaking those barriers helps get the job done.
Right.
Okay, because you will look at things differently, you will understand things differently. So I would say the most important thing to manage yourself first, to be able to get the right knowledge, educate yourself. Education now has so many venues.
Yeah.
You could look at
So many ways as
so
well.
many ways.
It's much easier, I would say, more accessible.
See, sometimes if you provide too many options, you confuse the person.
That's true.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have to know what are you looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. There are so many TED Talks out there. There are many people you can talk to and get experience from. Okay? And then also the internet is also ChatGPT and all those
All of that, yes. Correct.
fronts.
Thank you so much, Bu Yusuf. This was such a delight, honestly, of the day, and I've benefited so much from you, and I'm sure our audience as well. I want to thank you for your time. And do you want to say anything else?
مشكورة نورا. Thank you for the people who arranged for this. I think these sessions are very important, and I'm very honored to be here, and I hope I was able to add.
Definitely, without doubt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all, and stay tuned for our next web podcast. Thank you all.